The gentleman is recognized to speak on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we saw something remarkable that happened throughout America. We saw so many new small business owners. We saw so many different types of business owners, innovators, people growing businesses, and we saw the lowest unemployment among our Latino community, our African American community, Americans of color. It was really quite remarkable to see the advancement. And I know in my district, I know many folks that prior to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act really struggled to start, operate, and grow a business, and they found tremendous success. And we want to make sure that that success continues to find them and that they are able to contribute more and more and more to the American experience and our American economy. So my amendment is pretty simple. It would require the Secretary of the Treasury to certify that changes to the 199A small business deduction will not force the closure of small businesses eligible for the Small Business Administration Small Disadvantaged Business Program. So this is something that we want to make sure that before these tax increases go into effect, that we understand that and we have confidence that it won't hurt our socially disadvantaged small business community. So I will urge adoption of this amendment. Mr. Chairman, as we've gone through this process, it's been pretty evident that this has been a partisan exercise. You know, when President Biden was campaigning, he campaigned on an era of bipartisanship coming into Congress, but what we have not seen one bit of that here today. Really, we haven't seen it over the last 3 days of markups. And what we have seen 4 days, and my colleague from New York just reminded me, it almost feels like 3 years, doesn't it, Mr. Swazi? We have not seen a level of cooperation here. We have offered many amendments to make this bill better, to make sure that there are provisions in here that protect small businesses, that maintain American competitiveness, that incentivize work, that help people go from poverty into the middle class and beyond. Every single one of our amendments has been rejected. Now, I heard Mr. Smith from Missouri say something that I think is right. I just don't think that the majority had the time to call the speaker and ask permission to vote on some really good amendments. And that just seems apparent because we are in a very, very partisan environment right now, and it's a shame for the American people. I want to draw back for 1 second. I want to talk about what we just saw in the last amendment that was defeated, and it was offered by Mr. Rice from South Carolina. If you don't think that there is fraud in that program, then you are living in blissful ignorance. And blissful ignorance is no excuse for theft of taxpayer dollars. It does exist, and it should not exist. And whether you are a billionaire that are cheating your taxes, or whether you're committing fraud, taking money from our most vulnerable citizens that we are trying to help succeed, you should be number one, you should be caught, and number two, you should be locked up. Doesn't matter, thief, if you steal a nickel or $1 billion, you're still a thief. And so I would hope that this committee would be fully committed over a period of time to working in a bipartisan fashion to find a way to close the fraud gap. I would be supportive of that, and I know that many of my colleagues on this side of the aisle would as well. But we've got to work, and we should be working in a bipartisan fashion, but instead we've taken a partisan tack that is going to do several things. It is going to make America less competitive. It is going to ruin innovation in this country. It is going to put the American worker at a competitive disadvantage. It will close many small businesses. It will give our enemies and our adversaries around the world an upper hand, and we are surrendering our global competitiveness to a global minimum tax. I submit that we should be doing everything that we can to put the American worker first, to put American innovators first, American small businesses, and we should be doing everything we can to put this great country first. Unfortunately, the Democrats' plan is everybody first but America. Enough is enough. It's time to vote for this amendment and defeat this overall package. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank the gentleman.